the United States, the land of the free, the pioneers of freedom. America became the greatest country in the world based on freedom of speech and free markets. What are the odds that regulations regarding free markets that were written in the 1930s are the best we can do 100 years later after a revolutionary technology comes out? Obviously small. The question is, can we be proud to be Americans going forward? Can we continue to claim to be the home of the free? Right now, it's embarrassing. You know, I'll get to that in a minute. But I want to mention one other thing, because America did right in the 90s, the internet. We were, a leader with the internet. And I remember Congress, they tried to quell and create all these problems, whether it was taxes or censorship. But the Supreme Court, I mean, they passed a few laws that got shut down, and then they passed one law and made it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, although the government has an interest in protecting children from potentially harmful materials, the CDA, the law, pursues that interest by suppressing a large amount of speech that adults have a constitutional right to send and receive, and the breadth of the law is unprecedented. And someone else said too something about, free speech has been so valuable for so long. Let's not experiment with censorship now. And I think you can take this same ruling and say, can't we say the same thing about what's going on in finance right now? The government has an interest in protecting, instead of children, or maybe in this case some of these investors seem like children, but protecting investors from potentially losing their money. The law, these SEC regulations, suppresses a large amount of economic activity that us adults have a right to send and receive. I've owned a business for 22 years. And I have been, honest in my dealings, submitting taxes every year that I would be happy to share. Why not? Why can't I, as a business owner for 20 years, cash out? And not in some negative, fooling people. I'll just say, hey, listen, here's the business. Here's the money it's made over 20 years. Put it out there. I have nothing to hide. And I'll give you a percentage of the earnings on a token. Now, you can decide to trust me or not by looking at my history and what I have and what's going on, and decide to make an investment or not. Why aren't I allowed, as an American, to sell my business? And why aren't you, wherever you live in the world, allowed to make that investment? And it's because laws written in the 1930s to respond to problems in the 1920s, we are trying to live by those 100 years later, after this revolutionary technology has come out. And the government's aggressive about it. So, is the government going to do the right thing? Let me talk about some of the problems, because I thought about it. I'm like, I've been in this business for 20 years, and I don't even work, I'm not CEO anymore. So a lot of my wealth is tied up in this business. It's a great business. It's good. I don't mind. It's good cash flow. I don't mind owning it. But it would be nice to diversify. It'd be nice to take some of the cash out of that in order to deploy to my new passion, the cryptocurrency world. Maybe build up this YouTube channel. But I can't. Why can't I? So I asked, I'm like, regarding these SEC rules, well, what would it take for me to issue a security? Well, there's so many rules that you can boil it down to only people with a lot of money can invest. You can't allow the little guy in. If you have a small business, you can't raise money because they make the costs are just way too high. And if you even go through all those hoops, you can't just promote it on the internet. I've been doing internet marketing for 20 years. Believe me, I could move a coin based on, and I could probably get some other companies maybe to come in. One of the biggest distributors of sex toys on the internet, coin. Now that's a sexy investment. I think I don't need a brokerage. I don't need them to take a percentage, but I have to go through that. I have to. It's an old boys club. And I understand the idea. We're protecting the little guys from getting scammed. Now, I'm going to get to that later, how we can sort of, what the new law should look like. But, these restrictions, I am not allowed to sell my business in America. Kidding me? And also, we care about other people around the world where, I have a lot of opportunities to invest, buying stocks and doing various things. But if some other countries out there, they have no options. They can just hold their shitty country currency and that's about it. But now all they need is a computer or maybe a phone with internet, and they can put their money into something that'll hold its value. Now you may say, oh, investing in sex toy e-commerce business isn't the best place to put your money. Well, maybe it's not the best. Maybe you should put your money in Google before you buy my token. But if you live in some country where your only option is a friggin' currency, you know what? My token's probably would be a better value. And then, all this talk about, well, we don't want terrorists to use it. I mean, first of all, there's a lot of bills, U.S. dollar bills passing around. And I think terrorists could use them. And it's 100% untraceable. Bitcoin actually is kind of traceable. And tokens, maybe that's a regulation that there's some sort of traceability to it. I don't know. Dollars aren't traceable. Right? I mean, what? And again, we're also, they want to protect against frauds and scams. Well, there's been a lot of frauds and scams. Look at this. What was the Madoff? Look at the whole housing bubble, which was influenced by the government. What's his name? Oh my God, can't remember the guy. Anyways, in Congress, he said, I want to roll the dice on, allowing housing loans to go to low-income people. They're playing the game, and it turns out they rolled the dice, and he didn't get snake eyes. They got it up the ass for $1 trillion or so. So, these claims against protecting the system we have now is not foolproof. So, and again, back to what is America about? What is our success been built on? Freedom. And I'll tell you what, I am embarrassed right now. I mean, you go to a website and it's like, look at this new opportunity. Now I understand not all opportunities actually are that great, and some of them are gonna suck. But when I'm researching, it's just embarrassing to see, and I'm an intelligent guy. I don't need this protection. It says this great investment, great opportunity, available for everyone, unless you live in America. What the fuck? Now, instead of the land of the free, I'm in the land of the restricted. It's embarrassing. And also, when I go to crypto talks, big, really smart people who are trying to build businesses that will be successful. Yes, they want to make money, but they're trying to build something that will be great, that will help people. That's how you make money. And more than 50% of the conversation, sometimes the whole conversation, is not about what can we do for the customer, what is going to be great for people, how are we going to add value. It's about what's legal. How can we do this legally? That's all anyone talks about. Fucking annoyed. So here's my solution. So I know, listen, we need something new. Probably everybody agrees on that. But what do you do? So first of all, we gotta face reality. You can't fight physics. Okay? Central control over currency, it's going away. Now, it doesn't have to go away tomorrow. I understand we have the central bank. We've had it for 100 years. You know, I'm not saying close it tomorrow, but let's accept reality and develop a transition. Okay? And we can. I'm not gonna pretend I've got a whole regulation thing that I know what would put into place. But we need to have the idea. We've got to go a little bit towards buyer beware, or let's say investor beware. But we can educate people. In America, educate people. Schools can't educate. Fuck schools. Let's just imagine if the government, you pick 10 topics. Like, it's not, here's the thing. We're not trying to teach everyone how to be Warren Buffett. We don't need to teach everyone to pick the next Google. We just want to protect people, teach people how to, like, avoid total scams, and how to teach people to hopefully just not lose all your money quickly. And you can do that. Let's, pick some topics. I've got some. So for example, one of the things that's great about the new economy that didn't exist 100 years ago, if you're going to invest in a company, you can look up on the internet who the founders are. Look at their history. Look at them on YouTube. That is a great way to see who you're giving your money to. And if you can't find info on the investors, then don't invest in it. There's so many opportunities out there. So how about the government? Here's one. Spend $100 million on advertising. And plus, this is for the good. Get it into schools. $100 million on, if you're going to invest, get to know the founders. That's one. Also, get Warren Buffett to have him give 3 tips. There's this Ray Dalio. He made a 30-minute video already. Spend $100 million to get people to watch this video on the principles of money, or how the money machine works. He made a video. Or just the very basic. Like, people don't understand. It's like, you have money, you can spend or consume, you can hold it, or you can invest it. And investing means giving it to someone who's going to create value, and they give you back. And like, just how the basic money things work. What if the government had 10 topics, and they did $100 million advertising on each one? For them, that's petty cash. That's $1 billion. And people will be educated about finance. And not to mention, let's educate about, it's the same thing with the stock market. Hey, it's risky and you could lose all your money. Yes. But wouldn't the world be a better place? Or I'll tell you, it would be, and people would be wealthier if more people had their money in stocks. I have someone I work with. He's a smart guy. He's got over $100,000 sitting in cash. No one ever taught him about getting into the stock market and putting money in intelligently over time. The basic education can be there. It's very simple, though. So spend the money on education so that we can have a more open, sort of investor beware, don't be a moron sort of mentality. And then have some, okay, I'm not saying zero regulations, but you want to make it as simple as possible so that everybody can be involved in the revolution. So that an honest guy with a small business like me can cash out. I mean, my plan has been, because I don't really have a cash out. When you have a small business and selling sex toys, I mean, you can't sell it, or I would sell it at such a price that I'm better off holding it and making money for 10 years. I mean, for the price that I would sell it at, if I have to find one buyer who will buy the whole thing, the price I would get, it's not worth. I can make that in my salary in 3 years, and I still own it. So why would I sell it? But if I could split it up into little tokens and people are going to get a percentage of revenue, it opens up the market, and then I could cash out. I don't mean in some negative way, and I'm not trying to dump it. Like I said, it's a good company. I hold it. I don't mind holding it, but why am I restricted? And why are you, as an American, restricted from investing? And why is the government spending all this money chasing down, business people who are trying to create value on a new platform, instead of spending that money educating people so they don't lose money? Or never mind, don't lose money. People are not investing. People are holding dollars. Just cash that declines in value instead of investing. So, what else did I want to talk about? I think that's about it for now. There needs to be a change in these laws. We know there needs to be a change, but we gotta talk more about it. I understand I'm not a legal genius here, and I sort of made this a little off the cuff, and everyone's going to tell me I'm an idiot and I don't know anything about the laws and all that. Fine. But there needs to be a conversation here. And the SEC regulations, God bless, when they were made in 1935, the year after they were made, they were probably pretty good. And and I understand there are some benefits to it, but at this point, they are archaic. And if we can't come up with a better solution, honestly, just get rid of them entirely. I mean, what's going to happen? There's going to be idiots who lose their mind. I think you'd have to. You know what? The simple solution: just get rid of the friggin' regulations, and spend a bunch of money educating the people on the basics of investing. That's my advice. But give me your ideas. Get this conversation going. Talk about it with other people. Tell your Congress people that we are embarrassed as Americans. We have freedom of speech. It's the First Amendment. It's freedom of speech. It's unfortunate. The Second Amendment is I can have a gun. I don't want a fucking gun. I just want to participate in the new economy. Let's have a new amendment that people should be free to pursue their interests, their financial interests, and participate in the economy without the government trying to control every step of the way. All right. Let me know your thoughts.